Oh Disney, why do you keep doing this to yourself? To say that Disney has had it rough lately is an extreme understatement. As for the past couple of months, they've had several box office flops, one after the other. And if that isn't bad enough, the company just took its biggest L yet. That being the remake of the #1 classic, Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. Sure, the Disney remakes were never too well liked, with them being blatant cash grabs, along with the fact that they've been getting progressively worse, with the new Peter Pan becoming a massive laughingstock on the internet, and The Little Mermaid showing that these remakes can't even bring in the big dollars at the box office anymore. Although Snow White is a special case, as it is not only Disney's first ever animated movie, but the first ever full-length animated feature. The very movie that showed that such a thing was possible. And every incredible animation movie that has come since then owes their success to the legacy of Snow White. Sure, it's pretty simple in terms of story and characters, and Disney would go on to make significantly better movies since then, but it doesn't change the fact that Snow White was the film that started it all, and I'm sure many of us can agree that it at least deserves some respect for that, which of course brings up the massive elephant in the room, and the reason you all clicked on this video for, the comments that Rachel Zegler, the actress playing Snow White in this upcoming remake, had made, and oh boy, they are a doozy.
You know, the original cartoon came out in 1937, and very evidently so.
It is quite baffling that Disney thought it would be a good idea to let these interviews be viewed by the public, as they're guaranteed to turn off many people from seeing the movie, as indicated by the immense backlash they received. Heck, even the son of the director of the original Snow White had called Zegler out. Hey Disney, have you considered that the target audience of the Snow White remake are fans of the original? So having the main sub insulting it would inevitably alienate them? After all, the only reason why many of the live action remakes were even successful in the first place was the fact that they pandered to people's nostalgia for the original versions. The other issue is Rachel Zegler's attitude.
Weird.
While I'm assuming that she was intending to come across as sassy in an entertaining way, she instead comes across as rude and conceited. And as a result, the comments she makes comes across as even worse. All she's really doing is tearing down the original Snow White in order to prop herself and this remake up. Now, don't get me wrong, the criticism towards the original film would have been fine had she just pointed out that there wasn't much to it in terms of story and writing, which was something that the remake could potentially improve upon, while still respecting what came before. Because again, this is the most important movie in the history of Disney and all of animation. But nope, she just straight up insults the original in such a disrespectful manner. Although, just to make one thing clear, I do not condone any harassment or hate sent towards Rachel Zegler. I'm just here to give counter arguments to our points. Besides, I'm sure Disney is the one who is actually behind these comments, because they seem to think that pandering to leftists will make their movies successful. And then there's the cringy performative activism. And it's the same song and dance we've seen many times since the mid-2010s.
There is a big focus on her love story. With a guy who literally stalks her.
Yeah.
Okay, the only real issue with the romance between Snow White and the prince was that it was bland. Although it wasn't anywhere near as problematic as Rachel Zegler makes it out to be.
It's really not about the love story at all, which is really, really wonderful. And whether or not she finds love along the way is anybody's guess until 2024.
And she's not going to be dreaming about true love. She's dreaming about...
What's so wrong with falling in love? Sure, there was a time where female characters were limited to being the love interests of male heroes, but things had changed a lot since the old days of Hollywood. A female character can be strong, well-developed, and three-dimensional, and falling in love with a man won't automatically take that away. After all, no one claims that the male heroes become weak once they fall in love. Also, Cinderella and Prince Charming still fell in love in the remake of Cinderella, and that movie actually improved on the underwhelming romance of the animated version by actually showing the development of their relationship. So I don't know why they can't just simply do the same thing for Snow White and the Prince in the remake. True love is something that many people actually want, and yet these weirdo leftists treat it as something that's pure evil. As for the damsel in distress comment,
Yeah.
Saved by the prince.
She's not going to be saved by the prince. And
again, while it was a trope news for the majority of female characters way back then, it isn't automatically a bad thing depending on how you write it, as long as you give the character good development, aside from being solely there to be rescued. A character needing to be rescued doesn't make them weak, as none of us are invincible powerhouses who can easily get out of trouble, so there's nothing wrong with relying on others to help you get out of dangerous situations every once in a while. And of course, they're bragging about this new Snow White being stronger and more independent.
And she's not going to be dreaming about true love. She's dreaming about becoming the leader she knows she can be, and the leader that her late father told her that she could be if she was fearless, fair, brave, and true.
I still don't get why modern Hollywood acts as if strong female characters are revolutionary, as not only have they been around for decades, but they're everywhere nowadays. And usually when big studios, especially Disney, brag about having strong independent female characters, they often end up making them overpowered Mary Sues who face no real challenge, making it impossible to engage with them. And these characters also usually have bland personalities, along with an arrogant attitude, that just end up turning audiences off from them. Modern filmmakers are so fixated on overcorrecting how female representation was handled in the past, that they forget that the characters had to actually be likable, relatable, and face real challenges in order for audiences to be invested in them.
We have a different approach to what I'm sure a lot of people will assume is a love story just because, like, we cast a guy in the movie. There's a big focus on her love story with a guy who literally stalks her.
Yeah.
Of course she's dunking on the prince, because apparently a female character can't be strong unless the male characters are pathetic losers. As seen in the Peter Pan and the Little Mermaid remakes, where Peter Pan and Prince Eric are stripped of their heroic deeds, and were made into weak beta males in order to prop up the female leads. This isn't breaking gender roles, but rather reversing them, which is exactly what you get when you confuse feminism with misandry. Several female Disney characters in the past, such as Ariel, Mulan, Esmeralda, and Moana just to name a few, got to be heroes. However, the male characters weren't relegated to being useless sidekicks either. Here's a shocking idea: perhaps both women and men can both be strong. Old school fairy tales may be simple, but there's nothing wrong with telling them to kids, as they were enjoyed by them for many years. And if you can elevate them like with Disney's Princess and the Frog and Tangled, then that's great. But Rachel Zegler's comments on Snow White is such a dishonest way to view them. The Snow White remake already had so much going against it for a while now, but this seems to be the final straw that broke the camel's back. So it's highly likely that this movie will flop at the box office. And good riddance. Maybe its failure will finally convince Disney to stop making these live-action remakes. Hey, a man can dream, can he? And I think that'll just about do it for this video. If you enjoyed it, then be sure to give it a like, share, and comment. Also, subscribe to my channel and hit the bell for notifications. And if you are interested in supporting my channel, then head over to my Patreon. Well, I got nothing else to say, so see ya.